It seems like there's a storm brewing in the F1 paddock as drivers express their frustration and anger towards the FIA over what they perceive as biased rules. Imagine your favorite drivers furious at the sport's governing body for playing favorites and bending the rules. It's got everyone talking, and tensions are running high. So let's dive into this video today to know what's got the drivers so fired up and whether the FIA will address these concerns. Without further ado, let's begin. Kevin Magnussen faced a challenging time during the Miami GP, accumulating a staggering 35 seconds in penalties over just 19 laps. His aggressive driving style puts him at risk of a race ban and raises broader questions about the state of racing regulations. A concerning trend emerges. Will drivers prioritize their own race performance over their teammates? This dilemma could become more prevalent if regulations remain unchanged. The question then becomes whether sacrificing individual performance for the team's benefit is ethical or necessary. The FIA faces a daunting task in preventing such behavior. While accumulating penalty points is one method, it may not be enough. Effective regulation is paramount to maintaining fairness and safety on the track. Debate surrounding Magnussen's actions. Magnussen's defensive maneuvers against Hamilton sparked heated debate, questioning the morality and legality of his actions. Regardless of opinions, his driving style was undeniably risky and could have resulted in severe consequences. Despite his penalties, Magnussen's aggressive defense allowed Nico Hülkenberg to maintain 7th place in the sprint race. While Magnussen's tactics proved beneficial for his teammate, they also highlight the potential dangers of such reckless driving behavior. Kevin Magnussen's performance in the recent race saw him amass a hefty 35 penalty points, bringing him dangerously close to a race ban. Additionally, he received 2 penalty points for a collision with Logan Sargent. Magnussen's tally now stands out as the highest on the grid, raising concerns about his future in racing. Despite his penalties, Magnussen managed to avoid more severe repercussions during the sprint race, leaving experts and fellow drivers puzzled. Some proposed drastic measures to address the issue, highlighting the need for a fair and effective penalty system. Magnussen provided insight into his perspective on the penalties, acknowledging their fairness but expressing frustration at the need to prioritize team strategy over personal performance. He recounted his efforts to protect his teammates' position despite feeling vulnerable against rival drivers. While he recognized the necessity of his actions as a team player, he also admitted discomfort with resorting to such tactics, emphasizing his desire for a different approach to racing. However, his decision to prioritize team objectives over personal performance reflects the financial stakes involved in Formula One. The 2 points gained by Hülkenberg during the sprint race could significantly impact their championship standings, potentially translating to a difference of around $10 million in prize money at the end of the season. Following Magnussen's aggressive defending maneuvers, stewards summoned him for allegedly unsportsmanlike behavior. Despite concerns that he would face punishment, stewards provided a reasonable explanation for their decision not to penalize him. Magnussen candidly explained his perspective, believing he had the right to race Hamilton as he did. He also expressed willingness to accept standard penalties for any rule infringements during the battle for position. The incident involving Magnussen's aggressive defending against Hamilton sheds light on potential gaps in the current penalty system. It suggests that drivers could employ similar tactics and escape with only time penalties, avoiding the accumulation of penalty points. This raises questions about the consistency and effectiveness of steward decisions. There's growing sentiment among stakeholders for a re-evaluation of how stewards handle such situations in the future. There's a recognition that a slight adjustment in their approach could garner more respect and ensure fairer outcomes. Stewards themselves have acknowledged the need for potential changes to penalties, particularly in cases of repeated infractions. Looking ahead, there's a discussion about the possibility of increasing penalties for repeat offenses to deter similar incidents. Stewards have indicated that they will discuss this matter explicitly with the FIA and the stewarding team. By implementing stricter penalties for repeated infringements, they aim to discourage behaviors like those witnessed in the sprint race in Miami. Rethinking racing penalties. Further, there's a growing sentiment among some in the racing community that drivers who display intentional or harmful behavior on the track should be subject to more severe penalties, such as race bans. Andrea Stella, a prominent figure in the sport, suggests that drivers should take time away from racing to reflect on their actions and their impact on others. This time spent with family could provide a valuable opportunity for drivers to gain perspective and understand the consequences of their actions. Stella discusses the need for penalties that reflect the severity and repetition of the offense. He argues that penalties should not simply accumulate, but should increase exponentially for repeat infractions. By imposing more significant penalties, such as reflective time away from the track, drivers may be incentivized to reassess their behavior and demonstrate greater sportsmanship towards their competitors. Ultimately, the goal is to foster a culture of fairness and sportsmanship in Formula One. Stella's proposal defines the importance of accountability and reflection in maintaining integrity on the track. By holding drivers accountable for their actions and providing opportunities for self-reflection, the sport can ensure that all participants uphold the highest standards of conduct and respect for their fellow competitors. While Kevin Magnussen's actions on the track were deemed unacceptable, questions arise about the effectiveness of the penalty point system. Although his behavior towards Lewis Hamilton did not result in penalty points, Magnussen received 2 points for a collision with Logan Sargent. Magnussen's penalty points serve as a warning against repeating such behavior. The risk of receiving further penalties, including a race ban, would likely deter him from engaging in similar actions in the future. Given Haas's position in the standings, every point is crucial, making the consequences of such behavior even more significant. Despite his disagreement with Magnussen's racing tactics, Lewis Hamilton has maintained a respectful attitude towards the Danish driver. While Hamilton may not approve of Magnussen's approach, he acknowledges the limitations of his own influence in such situations. Ultimately, each driver has their own style of racing, and while Hamilton may have approached the situation differently, he respects Magnussen's right to race as he sees fit. Further, Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, demonstrates understanding towards Magnussen's perspective. Despite their differences in racing tactics, Hamilton appreciates Magnussen's honesty and willingness to take responsibility for his actions. He emphasizes the thrill of racing on the edge and acknowledges the importance of teamwork in competitive racing. McLaren driver Lando Norris supported Magnussen's approach, challenging his team principal's stance. Norris sees Magnussen's moves as strategic and smart, reflecting the competitive nature of the sport. Despite external criticisms, Norris believes Magnussen's actions were justified in the context of racing dynamics. Considerations for future behavior. While Magnussen's tactics may have been effective at the moment, there are concerns about the potential repetition of such behavior. This raises questions about the need for further discussions among stewards and the FIA regarding the appropriate handling of similar situations in the future. The potential impact on racing dynamics and sportsmanship requires careful consideration moving forward. Another important factor here is that Kevin Magnussen's contract expires at the end of the year, adding another layer of pressure to his racing endeavors. With the rise of talented young drivers like Ole Ban, Magnussen faces fierce competition to retain his spot on the grid for the next season. In the face of this uncertainty, Magnussen may need to set aside his ego and prioritize team success over personal glory. If sacrificing his own race results in securing his future in Formula One, Magnussen may need to make difficult decisions to ensure his continued presence on the grid. The increasing performance and consistency of his teammate, Nico Hülkenberg, further intensified the pressure on Magnussen. As Hülkenberg earns more points and garners attention for his achievements, Magnussen must demonstrate his own worth to the American squad to secure his place for the upcoming seasons. With Komatsu's recent statement highlighting the emphasis on free practice performances over F2 campaigns for Ban's future, the landscape of driver evaluation is evolving. This shift raises questions about how his on-track performances will influence Magnussen's future prospects. Given the controversial incidents in Jeddah and Miami, there's speculation about potential revisions to the penalty system. The incidents involving Magnussen's fierce defending against Hamilton prompt discussions on the fairness and effectiveness of current penalties. Will stewards reconsider their approach in similar situations? The debate surrounding Magnussen's actions continues. Was his aggressive defending against Hamilton justified, or did it cross the line? What do you think of the debate surrounding Magnussen's actions? Comment below your views and subscribe for more such videos.